Hello, everyone. Nice to see you. Hold on, I have to turn off my own version and have faith that this is happening. I think that's part of our theme today, having faith that this is happening. I'm going to tilt myself slightly to take away that distracting fan. Hi, I'm Holly Washburn. As you heard, I am one of the people in the background here at Tilt. I've been working with Tilt for a few years now and love it and love its mission. And I'm really glad to be here today to talk about technology and mental health. I am going to share my screen, I hope. Here we go. There we go. I am going to push play to start sharing. Okay, great. So as you can see, my talk today is on the promise and limitations of tech for mental health. And as we've been hearing in some of the other talks already, there is obviously a mental health crisis in this country and around the world, really. I won't read through each of these stats, but we know that this is something that COVID for sure is not helping in terms of general mental health in the country and the world, and people feeling isolated from one another. There's been a proliferation of technology in this space, as we call it. And we've seen all kinds of apps coming out that are purporting to help people with their mental health. And what do we do about this, right? This is a big shift from the idea of going to a therapist and getting help that way. How much do we believe that technology can take the place of that kind of thing? And one of the things we've been working on here at Tilt is an app called the Time Machine, and we built that with funding from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation over the last few years. And I hope some of you have had a chance to try it out. But if not, go to timemachine.love and check it out. So basically, the idea behind it is there's a few different things you can do in the app, but one of the big ones is talk to your past, present, or future self with love. And this is something that we believed would be useful for people and would help their general well-being. And we wanted to test out that hypothesis by creating a piece of technology that people could connect to. These are some screenshots of what it looks like when you're in the app. And we ask questions like, how is your spirit today overall? And we show people kind of how they've answered that question over the last, could be up to a month. And we also give them the chance to describe a hope that they have for themselves and their future and choose an avatar to help them visualize that hope in the world. And we collect all those hopes into something called the community garden. And you can listen to other people's hopes if they allow for that. And you can actually water the garden with good vibes. So there is an interactive element to it, as well as just the kind of self-care that's happening when people are recording wishes for themselves. And there's also a meditation section where people can listen to and create meditations for themselves. So I'm not going to get into this data. This is Julia's kind of data, but I can say, as you heard in Jose's video, that we did see measurable results, that people were able to see their well-being score from before using the app to after working with the app for up to 25 days. You can see there were improvements there. And if you can't read this in 30 seconds, just go see if you go to timemachine.love and click on the science, you can go read a whole paper that we wrote about these results and how people were able to have positive effects from using the app. So really, I think there's about 3 kinds of apps out there right now in terms of the overall effect of the technology is trying to have. So one of the most interesting ones, I think that gets people's attention is the AI chatbot that actually tries to ask questions and elicit responses from users. And this is something that's pretty much untested, and I don't know of any research. I'm sure research is being done, but I have not seen studies yet of exactly how effective this is. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this coming out. And I think we're going to need to see some research in terms of the effects and how people are using it. And, do different chatbots have better questions than others and better answers than others? This is going to be a really interesting area. Another one, and I would put Time Machine in this category, are apps that are created by psychologist teams and meditation experts to encourage good self-care, new habits, proven techniques. And these kind of apps, I think, are really dominating the marketplace right now in terms of there's a ton of different meditation apps out there, and people are using them and they're having good effects. And it's great to see, if nothing else, like a normalization of seeking better mental health and trying new things to get yourself feeling better if you're not in a good place. So just starting that dialogue, I think, is actually a really great side effect of having these kinds of applications and websites out in the world. And then a third one is kind of more of, I would say, a helper app, something that helps you find a live therapist and navigate through insurance. I know to help normalize, I was looking for a therapist a month ago to help with some grief around the loss of my mom, and it was a pain. Like, it took time to get onto my insurance website, find out if something was covered, how many sessions I could get, who I was allowed to work with if I wanted to use my insurance. And then I actually went through like multiple phone calls, finding out, no, that therapist doesn't work here anymore, et cetera, et cetera. So I think these kinds of apps can actually help someone who's in a mental health crisis. They're barely able to function anyway. And so the idea of jumping through a bunch of hoops, I'm sure some people just abandon the whole idea because they run into roadblocks. So I'm really glad to see this kind of application showing up too. But here comes the second half of my question here, which is, there's a lot of promise to technology, but I think there is limitations. I think this group here is the people who helped make the time machine. Julia is in the center there with me, and to the right there is Curry Jones, who helped make Johnson, who helped, well, drove all the technology. And on the far left there is Amber Williams, who did the user experience. And to her right is Dr. Michael Shapiro, who led sessions with the people who used the technology. And so that's something that I think would be more research needed in terms of the people that we studied didn't just use the technology. They had a session with Mike and Julia describing the app and encouraging them to use it. And Mike actually had a meditation session with folks. So I think there was a human element there that we're not sure how to separate out of our results. Although Julia might disagree with me, maybe she did try to separate that out. But at some point, I think it'll be important to figure out a distinction between using a piece of technology and having a human that is encouraging you to use that piece of technology. And so I have some queries for us. I'm a Quaker, so I like queries. I think things we need to ask ourselves is how do we help people sort through to find useful, healthy technology? How do we connect as humans one to one, especially after everything that's happened in the last couple of years with the COVID lockdowns? How do we get back to a place of feeling able to do that? Some people I think are still really having trouble remembering kind of how to do that or trusting the ability to do that. And then these are big ones. How do we convince tech companies that they should work into their applications hey, time to put down your phone, turn off the computer, go outside, get some nature therapy, connect to another human being in person. And that's interrelated to the next one. How do we encourage non-addictive behavior in technology? This is something we did actually try to do with Time Machine. If someone recorded a message, it would say, great, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll come back tomorrow. Don't stay here. So they could only record one message a day. And in the watering the hopes, you're allowed to do it 3 times. You can click it button 3 times and you don't get a prize. And it just says at the end, thanks for doing that. See you tomorrow. So encouraging people to actually turn off the technology. And I think that's hard for people in tech to do because they feel like the more time someone spends on their website or with their app, that shows how popular it is and how successful it is. So I think this is a real mind shift that's going to have to happen. So those are my queries. I'm going to check if you have questions for me. Let's see if I can figure out how to make that happen. Hold on, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for starters so I can see. Let's just see if I have any. I don't see any questions. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up and get us back on track time-wise. I hope you're having a great time here at the conference, and I believe we have a break coming up. So please take advantage of that too. Stop looking at a screen and walk away. And I would love to continue this discussion if anyone wants to reach out to me on LinkedIn or any other form of communication, please do so. Have a great day.